Hey everybody, welcome to the AA show. This is Greg Aalvik, and I'm here going to tear up some more spiritual warfare. That's what we've been dealing with. This is lesson 3. Write it down. But today I've decided to name this talk The Power of Perfection. And hopefully by the end of this, that title will make sense. I'm not talking about chasing demons, and for those of you who haven't caught on, just jumping in and found lesson 3 intriguing. Demons and ghosts and splashing oil and doing all this witchy stuff to chase around things that you can't see, that you learn in a lot of the spiritual warfare classes. I ain't into that. I ain't going to be doing that, not going to be teaching about it. Maybe I'll get into some of my experiences in that world one day, but today ain't today. I'm going to teach about spiritual warfare and the way we battle against the actual shit that fucks you up, not this imaginary stuff that doesn't actually play a role. And you need to do better than that. So our war isn't going to be this Harry Potter world with all these big, massive entities, ruling over a city or an area, and a bunch of weak little Christians are down there praying, little faithful, holding hands in a circle, praying against these demons like they have a chance of clearing them out. We're going to pray down the strongholds. They're down there marching around and doing this stuff, and they're working hard, trying to get something done. And I don't know, I was involved in stuff like that back in the day around Portland, Oregon. You see how that worked? Portland, Oregon. Look at it now. Praying and marching around the city and anointing every building in downtown with oil. Seriously? Oh, it wasn't just my church. It was all kinds of churches. They still do that. Is it working? When you really look back at it, it's kind of retarded. I ain't supposed to say that, am I? That's a bad word. You're not supposed to. Shut the fuck up. You know what? I've been around people all my life. I grew up in religious family, went to a super religious church and denomination and everything, rules up the butt, super disciplined dad and everything like that. And I'm kind of sick of being told what I can and can't say. I'm not about to concede ground to idiots who try to take away my free speech. I'm in America. I'm going to exercise American freedoms as long as we got it. And your political incorrectness or correctness isn't going to attack me. I'm sorry. And people just spend their time, they're like professional at being offended. You know what I mean? It's whatever. If you're easily offended and my potty mouth or something offends you, then you can check out, because there's a lot of other people that talk all like this and never ever use a dirty word, never use a cuss word, never swear, and they talk soft and they tell you a whole bunch of really retarded things that are just ineffective, and they have you chasing and smelling and lighting things up and sitting there and waving stuff around and making your energy. Come on, man. That whole soft-spoken, it's like preachers that cry and, Jesus. I'm sick of it, man. I really, that's why, I'm attracted to people that are real. And they're coming at me the way they would come at me, just sitting around in the living room with me and we having a conversation. This is the way I'd be coming at you. This is the way you'd be. And I'd be listening back, man, because I love to get in conversation. My favorite topic, if you haven't noticed. So we're going to get into it. Wrong. People need to be offended. Wow. Did I just say that? People need to be offended. You're better off if you get offended. I'm so offended. This is a culture. I don't want to go off on this, and I could. I got a rant waiting to go. But I'm just saying, sometimes I just think we're too weak, and you want to make a weak generation of people, a bunch of weak weak people that can't take anything, and they just break down, ball up in a little ball, fetal position, and, oh, don't hurt me, I just can't do this. And life is just too much for them. Well, this is the way you do it. You just don't ever, just protect them from every little thing that could possibly offend them or go wrong or any kind of hurt or pain. And you're going to create a generation of just weaklings. Everything in this life isn't supposed to be easy. You understand? It ain't supposed to be a downhill, smooth sailing ride. It's not everywhere you go. It's not supposed to be that way. That's the biggest bunch of bullshit all around us. That's look at our youngsters. Man, they're in bad shape. I'm gonna have to do a spiritual warfare lesson on growing a pair, and on responsibility, maybe, or on loving the difficulties. I'm gonna do a thing on loving the difficulties in life. Embracing the suck, the way my friend Amberly says it. Embrace the suck. You know, that's a meme that's out there already, but I like it. It's stating a truth, right? There are truths. Where do you think those sayings come from? They come because people have experienced that as a fact. They're like, man, you know what? If you embrace the hard shit in life, what's going to happen to you is it makes you stronger, right? The best shit, the best shit that ever happens to us comes because we went through something excruciating. Man, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm afraid that it would change me. And I like the way I am. I like what's happened. I like what I've been through. And it's made me into who I am right now. And think about it. It was the shit you went through, the trials and challenges in life that form us and mold us. The worst thing we do is develop this earthly, completely worthless human opinion of what perfection is. We define it in a funky way. And what do you think? What do you think perfection is? How do you define it? Would you think about that for a second? Just how do we define what that's perfect? Ever gone through something super challenging and rough, and there was pain involved, and there was struggle involved, and there was challenge involved, and you went through it all and got through it and conquered it, and you did the best you could. It brought everything out of you. You had to dig deep to get through it, and you got through it, and man, that was perfect. But if you look at all the counterbalancing, if you look at all the friction you had to go through, everything that was coming against you, and you had to work your way through all these obstacles, and whatever it is in life, it could be mental or it could be physical, and those are the best rewards. If it's easy, it ain't that fun. Yeah, it was easy. It bores us. It's boring for everything to be easy. We don't really want it that way. A lot of people think when everything goes your way, our way, when everything goes our way, that's perfection. When nothing ever hurts. Do you think that's perfect? When we never feel anything but happy. How about that? Do you think perfection is utopia? You know, people think about this utopia where it's just no one ever gets sick, no one ever gets bent, everything's beautiful, pretty, nothing ever dies. Really? That's perfect? I think we need to ask ourselves the question, and ask it honestly. Does God make mistakes? If you believe in God, and you may not, but if there's a God, pretend along with me, but answer this question. Does he make mistakes? Now, I know that all about the Satan story, and he supposedly fucked everything up, right? We blame all the bad shit we see and go through on Satan. That God made everything, and then Satan came along and fucked it up. But that's kind of saying that God really isn't in control. I mean, just bottom line. Well, God made, I don't want to hear it. I've been hearing that excuse all my life. And the thing is, it don't work. It don't play. You can't blame everything on the devil. People love the devil because they can blame everything that they do on the devil made me do it. Remember Flip Wilson back in the day? The devil made me do it. I love that, man. Anyway, Flip Wilson used to say it out all the time. It was funny. But a lot of people, especially that go to church and believe in Satan, really use the man. And Satan's standing over there. He's not even in our country. He's probably over somewhere in India someplace going, I didn't have anything to do with that. Why are they blaming me? I wasn't even in the vicinity. And I'm getting blamed for shit. I just think it's a weak excuse. But as Joe Biden would say, come on, man. It's weak. God knows everything. God knows everything. And he knows the end from the beginning. So if he saw Satan fucking it up, God said, I want this to happen. Let's do it. Because he knows what's going to happen. There's no excuse you can give God for creating this if you're going to believe in a world that went awry. This is exactly what God wanted. God's sitting there right now going, that's perfect. That's just what I wanted. That's the way I planned it. Do you realize that's what God's thinking right now? That's just what I wanted. That's just the way I planned it. That trial you're in is just what I ordained for you. God, when he made everything, called it good, right? And he made it on the first day. He said, that's good. Yeah, I like it. That's good. Second day, that's good too. I like that. Call it, it's all good. Third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day. It's all good. I'm going to throw something at you just real quick. You get this one for free. It just comes along with the video for free just because you're watching. The seventh day, he rested, Bible says. Except for in the book of Hebrews, it talks about the seventh day still being open, like it hasn't shut down. You follow me? In other words, there's seventh day as a rest that God enters into. But he talks in there about the children of Israel didn't enter that rest. And God said, I'll be damned if I'm not going to let them enter the rest of the seventh day. There's a day that's still open. It hasn't been closed. A day that God's creating and resting, but it's still, he never said it went awry. He's resting, but he's not completely rested until you join him in that rest. You and I, when we decide to rest in him, then we enter into that seventh day with God, the seventh day of rest. It's a lot of people, like the church I grew up in, they use the seventh day as you have to go to church on a Saturday. I know. But it's really about entering into the seventh day yourself spiritually. And a lot of you, if you're labor, you remember when Jesus says, oh, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's it. He's calling you to enter. He says, I am the Lord of the Sabbath. And he invites you into him. You come into him. When you come into him, you come into the Lord of the Sabbath. You come into the Sabbath. You come into the rest. And you rest from your work, from your labor, from your efforts and trying to please him and trying to do stuff and a whole mentality that's way different from what he actually called us into. And that's what I'm trying to show you. God's asking you to enter into his perfection, not your idea of perfection. We think it's supposed to be this way and that way, and God likes it just the way he made it. And you're going to call God, you want to tell God you don't like what he did? No, because people die. And guess what? God's the life that's in every one of them. God is the life that is in every one of them that have died. God's killing people. No, he's not. It's himself. And nothing's dying. His spirit is eternal. To God, nothing died. We're looking at it from our perspective, which is a stupid perspective from down on the earth, looking up at everything going, it doesn't make any sense. But from God's perspective, it makes perfect sense. It's beautiful, as a matter of fact. Just stop thinking that something else is going to happen, for a different situation to come along. I can't wait till this changes. I can't wait till I move into this other place. It's going to be better then. I can't wait to get out of here and over there, because over there is way better than over here. Waiting for things to change is one of my pet peeves. If you can't be happy where you're at, you can't be happy. Happy has to be found regardless of your circumstances. All right? Only things were different, then I'd be happy. If only President Trump weren't the president, right? Biden's going to fix everything. Sure he is. Yeah. He's going to need somebody to zip up his pants every day, but yeah, he's our guy. When I get a job, or once I get a car, then everything's going to be better. Nope. If my daughter would only do this or that, sorry. It's not what's going to work for you. It's not those circumstances. Mike could just get my son off his lazy ass out of his room, can stop playing them video games, do something with his life, then I would be happy. Our ideas fuck with us. We have false idea of perfection, and we're fighting that lie every day, constantly with human perfection, competing constantly in our head against human perfection. It's the idea, and some of this is good. We're always trying to, improve yourself. But when it has all this meaning behind it, and you're like, oh, I suck, and oh, I didn't do, and oh, this is terrible, and everything we do is put on these scales of good, and that was bad. How's your day? It's a good day. It's a bad day. I'm having a shitty day. It's a day. You just live it. Like we somehow, in all our imperfection, are able, from within our imperfect minds and mindset, somehow we're able to come up with a really good definition of perfection. Yeah, it's on us to decide what perfection is. It's not up to God, right? So, in other words, you're pretty unhappy with the way God's doing stuff, and you think you'd do a better job at being God. And this is the way things should be. I should be God, and then everything would be this way and work perfect for me, right? And you think that would be a better creation, don't you? But that's really arrogant. Have you ever heard God's ways are higher than our ways? I'm just saying, maybe what perfect is right in front of us, and we just can't see it. We have all this earthly shit around us, screwing with our eyes and our vision. You can't see your spiritual asses through the hole in the ground. That's imperfect. I don't like it. It wasn't pleasant. That wasn't fun. It didn't make me happy. It offended me. I'm throwing that over onto a pile of things that are evil and imperfect and horrible and bad. That goes over there. Only good things that I like and that are pleasant, I'm going to let into my universe. Let us conclude both sides of the coin. It takes both sides of the coin to have perfection, God's perfection. God has set in front of us trials, tribulations, struggles, and he says they're always going to be here. Do you realize that? God says. If you think you're trying to get rid of all your struggles, trials, and tribulations, you're fighting the will of God. Good luck with that. We can easily embrace that there are challenges that can make you better in life, right? The hot and the cold, the highs and the lows, the good and the bad. We should be thankful for all things, like Romans 11:36 says. For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. Right? Man, say that again. From him, through him, to him are all things. All things. You got to say all things. Not some things are from God. All things. That came from the devil. No, it didn't. It came from God. all things. That wasn't from God. Yes, it was. Stop it. Stop dividing them up. Get rid of your imperfect pile. You got to make it all good. You know, sometimes people come up with these simple little things. It's all good. It's all good. You ever said that? It's all good. Man, that is wise. You should adopt that. It's all good. But you should mean it, not just throw it out there as a little catchphrase. It's all good. No matter how shitty it is, it's good. It's going to make me better. I'm going to come out of this. It's going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing that ever happened to me. In the midst of the worst trial, to be able to look up and say, thank you, God. The best thing that could ever happen to me is happening right now. And it's going to make me better than I was, happier than I was. I'm going to really enjoy life from here on. If I survive this pit I'm in right now. Because sometimes it feels like you ain't going to survive. To be honest. And it's it goes right down to the root of your soul. And it makes you dig all the way down there to find that little glimmer of hope that you can hang on to and strain through and fight your way up out that hole, out of that hell, that fire, that torment that you're in right now. I know many of you are in it. I've been there. I've been there. And I'm not trying to be that dude, you know. And I have no church to call you to. All right? I have nothing. All I'm saying is I've been there. And I know what I'm talking about. And I know that it's so hard to look up at all when you're in that spot you're in. And sometimes it just takes one voice, one hand reaching out that touches me because I've been there. But a hand reaching out to you saying, come on, man, come with me. I got this. We can do this together. Right? God made Jesus perfect through suffering. The Bible say that, right? God made Jesus perfect through suffering. So what you're going through wasn't so unique. Jesus had to go through some suffering, and he did, right? And he was made perfect, and you will too, all right? Hebrews 2 says this, in bringing many sons to glory, it was fitting for God, for whom and through whom all things exist, to make the author of our salvation perfect through suffering. Wow. See, if Jesus is made perfect that way, and he's our example, we need to embrace the suck more than we realize. We need to embrace all the trials. We need to embrace the divine refining fire that burns away the dross, because he's in you and he's bringing himself up, rising up right now within you, rising up in your flesh. Your spirit is growing stronger just from listening. When you embrace your identity in Christ, the identity that you have God inside of you, and you know you're being made perfect. Don't despise the little things, especially the little bad things, the stuff that's happening to you. Start pulling them off your pile of imperfection and pulling them back into the universe that God's created, into part of everything that's working for you, for your good. Maybe one day I'm going to hit you with a lesson on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but I don't think y'all ready for that right now. In fact, I know you're not, so that'd just mess you up, right? But I'm really happy to have been able to sit down. I did want to cover one thing with y'all. There was people talking about hell and my thoughts on hell, and I shared lesson 1. So I'm going to follow up for just a moment, because people go, oh, just because God's omnipresent and all, God's all love, except for in hell, that's where he stores his wrath up. Like God here is different than God here. And that is a dangerous doctrine. Every bit as dangerous as just saying there's a hell, because what you just told everybody is that God is inconsistent, that God is not dependable, that you can find a part of God and run into a part of God that's wrath and mean and ugly and nasty as nasty gets. Because it don't get nastier than what people tell you hell is supposed to be. It don't. That's the worst thing you could ever do. So don't listen to these people that say, that's where God's wrath is. God is perfectly consistent. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Nowhere you go, nothing you do will ever make God be different. And God is love, and he was always love toward you. Okay? You just remember that. I thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to say something and share something with you that actually touched your life. That's all I want. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I want you to hit subscribe, hit like, do all the deals, leave a comment, and you don't have to be nice. I can take it. It's perfect. Everything that happens is good to go for me, right? But it's double A. It's so fun to hang out with y'all today. I really hope I was able to touch you in some way. That's what I'm here for. That's what this whole show is about. And I just can't wait to see you again. We're going to do this hopefully next Sunday. I'm going to pop up another video on another subject on spiritual warfare. I'm going to show you how to kick some spiritual ass. All right? Double A. Lock it up.
Double. 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 Double.